Today, in part one of a series of new videos, I take you along with me for a cruise down the Snake and Columbia rivers on American Cruise Line's new ship, American Encore. We start in Lewiston, Idaho, at the new dock and terminal that ACL built just last year. They threw a heck of a party to welcome the new ship to Lewiston for the first time. Her godmother christened her with a bottle of champagne, and our 7-day cruise began with sailing down the Snake River. The trip began with a pre-cruise hotel stay in Clarkston, Washington, where I realized that I had forgotten to pack my little travel bag with all my personal grooming stuff like deodorant, mouthwash, and my hairbrush. But a cool thing about Clarkston's Holiday Inn is that there's a Walmart across the street, so I was easily able to buy what I needed to correct my stupid mistake. This was my first glimpse at American Encore coming down the Snake River. Here's a much better view a few minutes later as she got closer. My excitement level was sky high because this was a ship I was really looking forward to sailing on, the first of a brand new class of ships from ACL. I put my drone in the air to get some aerial shots of the ship as she approached the new terminal that ACL built last year. This is in Lewiston, Idaho, just across the river and across the Washington-Idaho state line from the Holiday Inn that the guests stay in the night before the cruise. You can see the deckhands, the guys in the red high-visibility outfits, getting ready to tie the ship up, and 2 decks up from where they are, you can see the captain and one of the mates standing on the wing just outside the pilot house as they prepare to tie the ship up in Lewiston for the very first time. And on the highest balcony, the folks who are staying in the signature suite have a really great view too. For the last year or so, the ship has been under construction at the shipyard that American Cruise Lines owns in Maryland. After construction, she sailed through the Panama Canal to get to the West Coast, sailed up the Columbia River, and now here she is for the very first time at ACL's new dock in Lewiston, Idaho. It was kind of a big deal. So to celebrate and to officially welcome the new ship to the ACL family, they decorated the ship in red, white, and blue for her official christening ceremony. ACL's president and CEO, Charlie Robertson, plus several other company executives, flew all the way out here from the company's headquarters in Connecticut. There were speeches by local dignitaries, such as the mayor of Lewiston. The ship's captain, Andrea Mickelson, gave a nice speech, as did the ship's godmother, Cathy McMorris Rodgers, who for 20 years was a congresswoman representing the state of Washington in Washington, D.C. And as the ship's godmother, she got to christen the ship by breaking a bottle of champagne. There was some great entertainment at the christening. A vocal group called the Victory Bells set a fun tone with their old-fashioned singing style.
Don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. No, 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 don't sit under the apple tree.
Towards the conclusion of the christening ceremony, the Victory Bells sang the Star-Spangled Banner.
For the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And then there was a special surprise for all the folks at the christening. ACL had arranged for a little flyby from a classic warbird. Here it comes, off in the distance.
Thank you, ladies. That was spectacular. And only in Lewiston do you get this salute.
After the formal christening ceremony up on the sun deck, there was an informal after-party in the Sky Lounge, and the Victory Bells sang for us some more while we all enjoyed champagne and a seafood bar. Now we've moved on to the next day, and this is going to be the first day of my 7-day cruise down the river. Let me point out some interesting things you can see in this drone shot of the ship at ACL's new dock in Lewiston. Notice this wooden pole. That's not a utility pole for electricity. That pole was put there to provide a place for raptors to nest. And these two knew a good nesting site when they saw it. It was right next to the ship, so from the sun deck, we all had a pretty great view of them. Back to the drone shot, you can see some weather had moved in. It was beautiful yesterday for the christening, but cloudy today. ACL's new dock in Lewiston is right where the Clearwater River flows in to join the Snake River. And it's also just on the Idaho side of the state line with Washington. This shot, with the drone flying a little higher, shows it a little better. Lewiston, North Lewiston, Clarkston, Snake River, Clearwater River. And speaking of the Snake River, taking a jet boat ride up the Snake River into Hell's Canyon is one of the most fun things you'll ever do. Now, because I was tied up yesterday with the christening, I didn't have time to ride one of these jet boats this time, but a few years ago, cruising on a different ACL ship, I was able to go on the jet boat excursion, and it was so much fun. This was not long after cruising restarted following COVID, which explains why there was one woman wearing a face mask in some of these video clips. The jet boat picks you up near the cruise ship, takes you along the river through town. The boat keeps working its way up the river. Eventually, you're seeing the last few houses, and then one last house on the edge of town. And the next thing you know, you're completely out in the wilderness. It's not unusual to see wildlife along the shore. You'll also see a lot more adventurous folks in kayaks and rafts, some on long trips, like a week, camping out along the shore on a wilderness adventure. Now, on an excursion with ACL, you're definitely not roughing it at all. The boat is completely covered to help protect you from sunburn or from the occasional rain shower, but that's actually quite rare because this is a desert climate out here. If you're doing this in the middle of summer, it's usually hot on the river, but the breeze from the boat going so fast really helps to keep you cool. About halfway into your jet boat adventure, you reach a little dock, which is at a beach area. You're welcome to get in the water. I did, and some folks even swam. Just above the beach, there is a building where refreshments are provided and restrooms are available. It's a nice little break. But the real fun is after they've made it up the river as far as they're going to go, once the boat's heading downstream, it's time to get you back to the cruise ship, so they speed up even more. And that's even more fun than the trip up the river was. But I want to caution you about one thing. If you want to do the jet boat adventure, which I would highly recommend that you do, you have to be really careful that you have time in your schedule. My advice is to book an extra night at the hotel before the cruise. And this is where the help of a good travel agent can really come in handy. So feel free to use mine, Caitlin Gallagher. She's the owner of Ambrin Travel. If you book a cruise with ACL through Caitlin, she can help you with additional pre- or post-cruise hotel nights. She can help with your flights and with private transportation to and from the airport, hotels, and cruise ship. Caitlin puts everything into a master itinerary for you. You get a printed and bound copy mailed to your home, plus a digital version and an app with your itinerary. She'll also send you luggage tags, a tote bag, and some other swag. Caitlin is an expert on ACL, so she can answer all of your questions, and her services don't cost you anything. Her fees are paid for by the cruise line. Give Caitlin a call, send her an email, or visit her website, whatever you're more comfortable with. In the local paper today, yesterday's christening ceremony for the newest ship in town was the big headline story. I mentioned that the Holiday Inn in Clarkston was our pre-cruise hotel. The ACL buses brought us all across the river from the hotel and to the ship. After lunch, I got busy unpacking my suitcases, but then at some point I looked out the window and noticed we were moving. Without any fanfare at all, we had gotten underway on our trip down the Snake and Columbia rivers. There's the bridge that connects Clarkston, Washington on the right with Lewiston, Idaho on the left. And the water right in front of the camera here is where the Clearwater River joins the Snake River. People were enjoying cocktails and cookies and lunch in the Sky Lounge, while I was outside watching our Sailaway from Lewiston. Now, when you're sailing out of Lewiston down the Snake River, pay attention to the way the land looks. Notice there are no trees and barely any grass on the hillsides. This is desert land out here on the east side of Washington. The captain even made a joke about it during her welcome aboard talk.
Thank you. Welcome aboard. How many of you expected to see trees when you landed in Lewiston and Portland?
We'll be in dry desert conditions tomorrow, too. It won't be until day 3 of our east to west cruise that we start to see a change. By day 4, there'll be trees and greenery everywhere once we get over to the west side of the state. If you catch it during good weather, this is actually a really pretty stretch of the river. So here's a drone shot I took before the cruise on a beautiful day in May to give you an idea of what this stretch of the river looks like on a good weather day. That evening, after dinner, the ship's historian and guest speaker gave the first of many talks about Lewis and Clark's expedition on the river in 1805 and 1806. We were also entertained by a very talented Broadway-style singer, the first of many entertainers who would come aboard to perform for us this week. And then, just before 9 o'clock that evening, the ship encountered the first of 8 dams we would pass through this week. This is the Lower Granite Lock Dam, about 40 miles down the river from Lewiston. I didn't shoot any video of how the ship got through these locks, but don't worry, later on during the cruise, there were some good opportunities during daylight hours to shoot some great video of our ship going through a set of locks. This one was just too late in the evening. And it was time to go to bed. And that is where I'm going to pause the story for now. This is going to be a series of videos that takes you through every day of this 7-day cruise. Give me a week to edit some more video, and in episode number 2 of this story, which I will release 1 week after this one, we'll see the ship sailing into Richland, Washington for day number 2 of the 7-day cruise down the Columbia and Snake rivers. I'm Jim Zim. Thanks for watching.